For those who want to seek a career in mass communication, I must tell you one thing that, in fact, in one of the counseling classes, when I asked somebody that why she wants to be in mass communication and not in journalism, the reply given to me was, I want an easy job. Now let me tell you, there cannot be anything farther from truth. To be a PR professional, to be part of PR, is not an easy job. And there are two aspects to it. One, in journalism, when you write, you are writing for a product which has to go to print, which has to go on air. And the possibility of scrutiny is not that high. But in the case of public relations, you are writing for a particular organization, and the whole stakes of that organization, the whole repute of that organization is at stake, and there the scrutiny is very high. And when I say scrutiny is very high, what I mean to say is that by producing a press release through an AI, you can be rest assured that it will never pass the scrutiny of the people who have asked you to do PR for them. So to be a proficient PR professional, you have to have abilities both of knowledge and language. You should be able to convey deepest of the knowledge in easiest of the language. It should impact, because after all, your information which you are sharing on behalf of the company, it is going to impact the reputation of the company at various platforms. It's just not a question of one press release going out in the market and it getting published in a newspaper or a little bite in the television, on the video. It can hamper or it can make the fortunes of the company on the stock exchange. So that is the challenge of a PR professional. And PR professionals work directly in contact with the top professionals of the company. As Mr. Pathak himself reported directly to the Managing Director and Chairman of Indian Oil Corporation, the biggest company of this country, a Maharatna company. So you as a PR professional would be required to be in direct touch with the Managing Director of the company. And if you are not able enough to interact with the Managing Director of the company, you can be rest assured that you do not have the abilities in you to make a career in PR. PR is not only about visiting media houses. PR is not only about, collecting data about who the journalist is. PR is much beyond that. These are little bricks in the foundation. PR is all about knowledge. PR is all about language. And through Nalanda classes, Nalanda, I hope most of you are aware of Nalanda, one of the many famous ancient universities, a seat of great learning, which had students coming across from places like China, Japan. And it said that when Nalanda was set on fire, its library burned for 17 days. So that high was the stock of books in that library. That high was Nalanda as a center of knowledge. So we here in Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies are also attuned to the philosophy of Nalanda. And I'm so grateful that we become the first institution to become partners in the Nalanda classes. And I hope in times to come, the very spirit of Nalanda is imparted into the students of Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies. Dr. Pathak also talked about, the 90%, 10% quotient. You see, PR is again a job where you are a silent worker. In mass communication, there is PR, there is journalism. In the journalism, there are people on the desk, there are people who are writing. There are people who are in the input, who are in the output in television. Many of you decide to join the industry of mass communication for sheer glamour. But I can assure you, glamour in mass communication industry also can withstand the challenges only if you have the depths of knowledge. Last Saturday, I spent about 12 hours in a television studio with the best anchors of this country, Rajdeep Sardesai and Rahul Kawals. And I could see the thorough knowledge those people had about what they were talking. So again, to survive in this profession, you have to have the depths of knowledge and proficiency of language. And that is also applicable in the field of public relations. Dr. Murthy took name of two great personalities of this country, Swami Vivekananda and Mahatma Gandhi. Now, Swami Vivekananda was the first modernist thinker of this country. He is not part of ancient India. He was one of the first person who understood the strength and the power of visual communication. So that is how Swamiji lived in the last decades of 19th century. And we are in 21st century. 200 years ago, he understood the strength of visual communication. And that's how you get to see so many photographs of Swamiji. He has been the most photographed individual of his time. And if his message has got carried so far and wide, it is largely because both the text, which he gave it as part of his speeches, and the visuals, which were carried as part of his photographs. And because of those photographs of that time and the audio recording of his speech, now AI has been able to create some, videos about his speech at Chicago. So that has been possible because there was some knowledge available about him in the market. So AI can also work if you give it some fuel. You don't expect AI to give you fuel. You have to provide fuel to AI to give you results. Right? So Swamiji photographs, and one of the what you call another distinct personality about Swamiji, that despite being a saint, he wears trousers, he wears tunic, and he ties a muretha. Because he wanted to present a modernist image of this country. That we are not a country of Naga sadhus, just the Naga sadhus and the snake charmers. Our saints can speak in English language, and our saints can also dress in the Western attire. So that is how he was able to connect with the Western world and create that impact for our nation there. So again, these are some of the modes of communication which I am sharing with you, and these are parts of, again, public relations or corporate communication. Talking about Mahatma Gandhi, again his dress. It was the other way around. Swamiji from a dhoti converted to the Western attire. Mahatma Gandhi from Western attire took to the dhoti. And he did that because he had to lead a revolution in this country, and he had to identify with the masses of this country. The masses of this country had to believe that he was one of them. So he decided to wear dhoti. Otherwise, he was educated in England, he had practiced in South Africa. And again, Mahatma was a great communicator, a very knowledgeable person, whose vision of India is embodied in a book called Hind Swaraj, which he wrote during a voyage from South Africa to England. And also, one of the incidents which I want to share with you, Mahatma also knew how to push information, how to push opinion. Dr. Pathak was talking about, Some people think that opinion can be pushed through money, but that's not effective communication. The newspaper for which I worked, it's a more than 150 years old newspaper, The Pioneer. It was owned by the British. So Mahatma, during one of his journeys, had visited Allahabad, which is in news these days because of Mahakumbh. And the newspaper was published from there. And he wanted to visit Pioneer newspaper and meet its editor, because it was an imperialist paper which was against the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. So he met the editor and he said, you should give some space to our opinion also. The editor was very clear that, look, editorially, we are pro the umpire. We are not with you. So I'm sorry, we can't give you that space. Mahatma was not the one to give up. Then he said, at least you can assure me a space in your letters to editor. The editor agreed. Mr. Cheshni was his name. He agreed. And Mahatma was known for writing letters on postcards. I don't know if your generation has seen the postcards. And he wrote those letters, and they started getting published in the letters to editor column. And believe you me, that communication, a letters to editor column, swung a part of the British opinion in favor of Mahatma Gandhi. And it became very, very difficult for the editor to stop his letters from getting published, because then he would have been charged of bias. So the point I'm trying to make to you is that you should have good content. You should have the ability to also push that content on the strength of its effectiveness, rather than by the way of pilferage or grease and such things.